How do you discern when so-called news outlets are giving you information if what you're getting is actual and factual? Let me just give you a quick lesson here. It's not always about what they say. It's about what they don't say. So the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media, which of course their hair is on fire right now because of Elon Musk and all the things that he's doing at Twitter and all of the inside dirt that he is spilling on all of them and how they have worked in collusion with the U.S. government, i.e. the alphabet agencies, which, as Chuck E. Cheese Schumer once eloquently said, they've got 9 ways from Sunday to screw you. You know, I just noticed Chuck E. Cheese Schumer and St. Fauci sound an awful lot alike. Well, usually maniacal men do, but that's another story for another time. This story dropped last night. Fox News ran an article on it, but they really have given it no attention. The other media outlets are giving it about 0 attention. But the January 6th committee has withdrawn its subpoena of former President Donald J. Trump. Now, you would think, after months of grandstanding, of watching these events unfold on live television because they thought they had the next Watergate, you would think news media would have a lot to say about this because they've got half the country believing that at any moment handcuffs are going to be slapped on Donald Trump and he's going to be whisked away to prison once and for all and forever. And in their wet dream fantasy, that is what they want. But that's not what's going to happen. And Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat, Mississippi, well, he sent a letter to the Trump attorneys which reads, "In light of the imminent end of our investigation, the Select Committee can no longer pursue the specific information covered by the subpoena." Bump, ba-dum, bump. Now again, you would think there would be some coverage of this. There would be paneled discussion on this. But Benny went on to write, "Therefore, through this letter, I hereby formally withdraw the subpoena issued to former President Trump," and now listen to this, "and to notify you that he is no longer obligated to comply or produce records in response to said subpoena." Now, wait a minute. It wasn't that long ago that the J6 gang referred him over to the Department of Justice on a criminal referral. But now they're no longer interested in the documents that he has. Funny, the FBI kicked in the doors of Mar-a-Lago to find some paperwork, didn't they? Of course, Donald Trump wasted no time in going onto social media, that would be Truth, to write the following, and I'm going to read this verbatim. We were just advised that the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs has withdrawn the subpoena of me concerning the January 6th protest of the event of which I'm not allowed to speak that happened in November of 2020. They probably did so because they knew I did nothing wrong or they would lose in court. Perhaps it was the FBI's involvement in rigging of the event of which we are not allowed to speak of on social media. In any event, the subpoena is dead. And that's, Fox News didn't have anything to say beyond that. And the fact that it's what they're not saying, it's what the other outlets are not saying, is the telltale sign. So many of us, we feel on the one hand vindicated, yet incredibly frustrated. We were called conspiracists about COVID. The fact that we question things. Efficacy of vaccination. Why weren't we talking about herd immunity? Why were there all these endless mandates? Where was the scientific proof that any of that? And of course, we were told incessantly, do not question science. Me, St. Fauci, I am science. Now we have scientists taking to Twitter saying, yeah, they love Twitter's new policy. Elon Musk rolled out that, yes, we will follow the science, which means we will question science, because that's how science works. You question things. But under the new regime, the new thought police, you can't question. Isn't it funny? For 10,000 years of recorded human history, nobody has struggled with or questioned their gender. Now, all of a sudden, we're led to believe everybody is. And you can't question them questioning it. Yet, when you ask, well, produce the scientific data that proves this guy is actually a female, because it really is as simple as biology. It's not just what you feel, it's biological, it's scientific. You either have an XX or an XY chromosome. It's really not any more complicated than that. So all of this bullhawk nonsense that we were taken through for 2 years, which was all about tanking an economy to tank a presidency so that this mental defective Joe Biden could be selected and installed. And yet now we're watching Time Magazine and every other publication is rolling out what a great year Joe Biden had in 2022. Are you kidding me? If you didn't watch my Love Fest commentary from yesterday, you need to. Drew Barrymore sitting there going, it was such a great year. We're filled with such hope and optimism. One of my viewers wrote, well, of course, rich people had a good year. I mean, these people that are not even remotely connected to planet reality out there fawning and again, you know, it's Drew Barrymore. Her greatest accomplishment in life is riding in cars with boys. Ooh. She was certainly a much better actress at age 5 in E.T. But that's, beside the point. We're watching you're going to be told, it's been a great year. Joe Biden's done a phenomenal job. Look at the legislative wins he's had. You do know there's 2 ways you gauge whether or not a president's had a good year. Yes, did he get his agenda through? And the old Ronald Reagan question. Are you better now than you were 4 years ago? And that, Joe Biden, by nearly 70%, gets a resounding no! We're not. Oh, inflation's coming down, that he created. This is what we're told by Time Magazine, why he's had a fantastic year. Inflation's coming down. Gas prices are coming down. All of that was artificially exploded by the direct policies of Joe Biden. And it's not done, people. It's a dip, and it will go back up. They tweak these things going into a new year. Let's have a little positive spin. Then it's going to get rough for 2023, but magically it'll start to improve in 2024 because you'll be thinking about changing guys in the Oval Office. But in all of this, Donald Trump, again, frustration, he had said, go peacefully to the Capitol. All those videos have disappeared magically down the cyber wormhole. I'm sure Merrick Garland will try to manufacture something, but it's like all the impeachments. It's like the so-called collusion. And what's, on the one hand, we're vindicated. We're finding out we weren't conspiracy nuts, but it's beyond frustrating because now it literally means nothing. Because the establishment has spoken, and Ron DeSantis is their guy now. And that's on the left side and right side of the aisle. And that's something I don't think Joe Biden is prepared for yet. And again, I've said this before, and I will say it again. I like Ron DeSantis. What he's done in Florida has been great. But there's two reasons he's had this incredible success in Florida. One, he's got a very conservative group of people there that have pulled him to the right. That's number one. Number two, they want him to have success in Florida, the powers that be, the establishment, so that he becomes palatable to the Trump people on a national level to embrace him as the guy. Because we can point to, look, Florida was open, and Florida's fighting now the manufacturers of the vaccine, and Florida's fighting back on drag queens, and Florida's fighting back on wokeism, and Florida's fighting back on big tech editing and censoring. And I'm not saying that if Ron DeSantis became the guy and got elected, that he would do a bad job. He would do a predictable job. That the establishment can live with him because he's one of them. The guy they hate, the one that takes up space in their brains for free, that drives them into Trump derangement syndrome, is Donald J. Trump. Why? Because they can't control him. It's that simple. President Trump can take a little victory lap on this. I don't think they're done with the J6 crapola that they will try to spin into headlines as the years unfold. But obviously, I think a big part of this, why this is collapsing, I think the powers that be, the political experts, I think they're seeing telltale signs within the MAGA world, within the Trump sphere, that, for the most part, Trump people would accept DeSantis. So maybe instead of having all of this over-the-top drama of, political witch hunts and farces that blow up on national television, just let DeSantis take out Trump. And he'll do it with a smile, and it'll be kind, and it'll be polite, and it will be status quo acceptable. And they'll convince the average Trump voter that, look, Ron DeSantis is a softer, gentler version of, like, George H.W. Bush was a softer, kinder, gentler version of Ronald Reagan. Remember how we were sold that bill of goods? George H.W. Bush, former director of the CIA, deep state, up to his eyeballs, placed as Reagan's VP to keep an eye on things, had a hand in what happened to a certain young charismatic president of the early 1960s. There is a reason Nancy Reagan didn't allow George H.W. Bush to ever, under any circumstances, ever be alone with her husband after President Reagan was shot by Mr. Hinckley. Bum, ba-dum, bum. And what is it about VPs from Texas whose bosses end up, chillin'. It's not about what they say. It's about what they don't say. They are, I think, a little bit worried that if they keep up the farce and the charade on Donald Trump, that it's another thing that will blow up in their face, like Russian collusion, like impeachments, that it will then galvanize him and make him a hero again. So they'll just let Ron DeSantis do it. Let Ron DeSantis take him out. And there's even people on the left who would support DeSantis. You got to know that the game is played and it's not fair. And this is how it's done.